Three, and we're live. Hello, humans out there. This is the Ethos Ananda live stream with our excellent guest Fahim from our Cultural Anthropology series. We figured we'd talk about cryptocurrency because that's a big thing right now, and Fahim and I are both interested in it.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes.
Fahim, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Do you want to...
Do you hear me well?
Huh?
Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much, Alex, Ethos and others for having me today. Yeah, as you mentioned today, we're going to talk about cryptocurrency and its impact on our cross-cultural communication, whether it is the communication that we have domestically with the people of the same country that we're living in, or the communication that we have internationally with our friends from other countries. And we want to see how cryptocurrency actually affects either positive or negative this sort of communication, and how actually cryptocurrency affects cultures and how they communicate with each other. So as a start, because I know that you've lived in different countries, especially in Asia, I want to know first how you define culture, and then later we'll talk about cryptocurrency and then its relationship with culture. But let's see how you can define it first.
Sure. Quick shout out to Jim, our friend. He's in the chat. He says greetings, and I say greetings to him. This is a really good time, apparently. It's 10 at night in the East Coast of America. Fahim, you're in New Zealand, 18 hours ahead. Jim is in Indonesia. And another one of our friends is in Taiwan now. He might join later. That'll be super cool. So, fabulous. Culture. So culture is absolutely important to my personal daily life. I describe it as a mode of being that it's like a dimension. It's a dimension that you can live on. Like you can live on the cultural dimension, the social dimension, the ethical dimension, the spiritual dimension, the scientific dimension. All of these different things are like ways of life that you can do in a compartmentalized way or in a general broad way. So culture is actually where I prefer to live most of the time, even though I might study theology or ethics or psychology, something like that. I don't always live in those fields, but I really like living in the cultural field. So like some of the best times of my recent life are in Thailand, meeting you, Fahim. You know, you're from Iran, and there are many other, expats, foreigners there from different cultures, and we're all coming together in Thailand, which is a further foreign culture for us. And so the exchange that happens there, that's awesome. That's how we met. That's why we started the Cultural Anthropology series, as far as I can tell, is we're both really interested in learning and growing by exchanging all the differences that come from culture.
That's right. And you talked about the exchange, and basically cryptocurrency can be a means to start this exchange among cultures, amongst the individuals of society. So I can see that Jim, hello Jim, we have a definition from Jim here, a group of people with a shared set of values. This is very important. And just a phrase set of values has got a broad definition by itself. So the main question is, what does this set of values include? So it can be behavior, it can be traditions, it can be the capabilities of the society, the beliefs that they have and they carry on in their lives. So basically, it can be a number of items. Well, talking about cryptocurrency, how did you get into cryptocurrency? Like, let me ask you this. Like, and then I will tell you about my story as well. But how did you get into it, or how did you get interested in it?
Well, mostly because of you, Fahim. So,
Oh, whoa.
I think so. I first heard of Bitcoin years ago, and I was, I'm always into new, edgy things. So, and as soon as I heard those stories from, maybe like about 10 years ago of some pizza guy who had like 1,000 Bitcoin and then he lost it in the trash, but it's worth millions. As soon as I started hearing those stories, I was thinking, whoa, maybe I should get into this. But it was still a little bit scary. That's a strong word, but I was just a little anxious. I didn't feel like researching it too much, and it just didn't happen. And then recently you shared about what you've been doing with crypto.com, and you had a referral link. And so I figured, well, and then so first you shared that with me, and I could tell you were super passionate about that, and that was intriguing, and then I must have Googled it for a little while, and I saw that Bitcoin, this past month, 2 months, has shot up about like 4 times in value. I said, "Holy cow!" And I started YouTubing this stuff, and then I'm a little bit hooked now. I'm not so much hooked on the actual trading of it, but the knowledge part of it is I'm very much in that phase now where I go on YouTube, and that's like the first thing I look for is like, is there a new thing on crypto? So yeah, it only happened very recently for me because of the passion I saw in you, and also what's been happening in the market, and further what's been happening in the world with the chaos of the American election and the coronavirus. Like those horrible things that are happening globally make cryptocurrency way more intriguing and attractive, actually, as opposed to like 5 years ago when everything's kind of comfortable and it's kind of like, you need to put in that extra time to get into crypto, and it's easy to like push to the side. But now I'm way more cognizant of survival-y stuff.
Yeah, fair enough. Just for your information, definitely know about this, but Bitcoin itself, since 6 months ago, it has had an increase in its value of almost 300%. That's a crazy number. 300% increase since 6 months ago. But how cultures can actually respond to this increase in terms of welcoming or not welcoming is a question. So some cultures might say, no, we're not into this. Some cultures might say, yes, we are definitely into this.
Yeah.
It's a big claim. It's a big claim to say this culture welcomes risk, this culture does not. But we have got numbers to rely on. For example, you might know about Hubstead Theory. So Hubstead Theory is based on national culture, in which Hubstead believes that every culture has got its own specific
hold on,
characteristics.
Fahim, can you just type in the name of that theory in the chat
Oh,
box?
yes. I can actually, what I can do, I can type the website of here. So we have got a Hubstead website. So if anybody out there wants to know about cultures, get to know cultures in different countries, this website gives us very good information based on the research that have been carried out on different societies. So, for example, on this, so as I was explaining about Hubstead, so Hubstead tells us how cultures behave, in different categories. So there are actually 6 categories in Hubstead Theory, telling us about different behaviors that they might have towards different events that happen in the world. So it's called actually 6D or 6-dimensional model. And one interesting part of Hubstead website is where you can compare cultures from cultures with each other. We are not able to share the screen here, are we?
Yes, you can totally share the screen. Well, I know I can. I don't know if there's a different thing for guests, but do you see it's next to mute and stop cam, and there's a share screen button.
Yeah, okay.
I think you can be able to do it.
Okay, so share a screen. It's gonna be okay.
If you do, never mind. You'll see it.
Okay. So you see my screen, right?
Yeah, I see everything. So we're in inception mode now. That's okay.
Okay, should be all right. Yeah, I don't have any any. You can see some kids. This is nothing important. Just the lesson. So, for example, I'm gonna put New Zealand. Just want to know what USA. No, United States. And tell me a random country.
Brazil.
There you go. Okay. So here it gives us different explanations on the characteristics of cultures in these 3 countries. So, for example, let's talk about power distance. So power distance basically is about how distant the governors or rulers of the country are from the people of the society. For example, in New Zealand, it's 22. So the lower the number is, the lower the distance is. Similar to the USA, but basically what happens in Brazil, and I'm sure if we choose Iran, you see that's a huge bit. It's more than half as well. So the distance is
wow. I didn't think Brazil would be such a high number on that dimension.
Right. Yeah, and
it's higher than Iran.
We get. Oh yes, I never thought about that either. I thought Iran would go 100. Well, it is 100, but also individualism, which might be related to cryptocurrency in one way or another, because individualism talks about how people in the society try to be by themselves.
Right. And so obviously, America will be a very high scorer on that dimension.
That's right. So usually things like group work might not be welcome much, and instead individual tasks would be welcome more. So here is what we can see regarding okay, so this might be what we want to talk about: uncertainty avoidance. So this is exactly related to cryptocurrency. The future can never be known. Should we try to control the future or just let it happen? right? So the extent to which the members of a culture feel threatened by ambiguous or unknown situations and have created beliefs and institutions that try to avoid these is reflected in discourse on uncertainty avoidance. So, for example, at 76, which is a big number for Brazil, it scores high on uncertainty avoidance. And so, do the majority of Latin American countries, these societies show a strong need for rules and elaborate legal systems in order to structure life.
Mm.
Do you think a cryptocurrency has any legal system? I mean, rule. It is legal, but any rule that we can predict the future?
This is really fascinating. So, it says most of these Latin American countries, they like having all these rules and bureaucracy, but they don't actually feel a need to follow them so seriously, as opposed to, like, and this is like a very Spanish thing, right? Especially in Spain, where you can have lunch for 3 hours and, you're just chatting and relaxing. But at the same time, they don't want to feel like they're, just completely wasting their life away. So they still have some structure there. I did see a documentary about Bitcoin recently, and they focused a lot about Brazil. Brazil is doing a lot of cutting edge, pioneering stuff in Bitcoin and other crypto stuff. Now, so another part of this, besides culture, is just the economic reality of what people are in. So, like in Venezuela, because the economy's in the dumps, people have started mining Bitcoin because they have they need they need something to make a dollar. They're desperate. So that, as going back to what I said earlier, it's like when you're very comfortable, you may not be as interested in jumping into something like this. Whereas when you're desperate, the inhibitions will start to vanish a little bit. I just want to share one thing. One trade I made, I bought some XLM, some stellar lumens. This is what we call an altcoin. So Bitcoin and Ethereum, these are the two big cryptocurrency coins, right? And then there's hundreds, maybe thousands of altcoins, much smaller markets and newer and more volatile and so on. So I saw a news article that Ukraine was going to make their own digital currency based on the stellar lumens. And then I saw a bunch of other news that for other reasons, stellar lumens was going to go big soon. So I just bought some. And then this was all just a month ago. And then just like a week or two later, it went up, I don't know, 20% or 50% or higher. And then I sold it and I swapped it for Bitcoin. And it was a great little trade.
So you personally don't live the moment, or do you? You really, like, I don't know how to ask you, but you probably live the moment, but you. So how did you predict it?
Oh, well, that's the thing, is I didn't predict it. As you say, I'm living very spontaneously in general, and investing is not so much of a different thing for me. I'd use a lot of intuition, and I follow ethos, meaning when I find a source that I really like, I just go with the source, and I don't care as much about the content. So here's one thing I heard recently. It's an old famous phrase or idiom from horse racing, which is bet on the jockey, not on the horse. And so that's what I'm doing. There's a few guys on YouTube, like Sheldon Evans, I think is his name. He's like, you can just tell by how he talks. He's very sharp. He like he knows the theory behind a lot of the crypto stuff. He has experience in it. He's made accurate predictions before. He's got a good track record. And so I might, for if he says, oh, this thing will go up, 100% in a few months, I might just jump on it. Of course, the other thing is, you have to have enough spare money to actually play this game, which I do, at least a little bit, and if I was broke, there's no way I could play in this game. So look, Fahim, before we continue, I want to read Jim's comment.
Yeah, we have a question.
Jim and many other people hearing this are still newbies, beginners, don't know much about crypto. And so Jim's asking, what kind of goods and services can we buy with Bitcoin? So this is really interesting. In Hong Kong, I was there just a couple months ago, basically. I saw a Bitcoin ATM. And these are more common than you'd think. You may not see them on the street, but if you look on one of these websites that shows where all the locations are, you can find a lot of these. It's a really high fee, of course, but you just, it takes a few seconds to start to create your Bitcoin wallet or your cryptocurrency wallet. And then once you do that, you can connect it with fiat currency, dollars, Hong Kong dollars, whatever. And you can buy Bitcoin at that ATM, or you can withdraw cash. So if you have Bitcoin in your wallet, you can convert it into local currency and just take out money at one of these Bitcoin ATMs. That's the only time I've ever seen Bitcoin, but I've heard in Japan it's very common in a lot of places, like just normal stores. They might have like a little QR code on near where you pay, and you just open up your wallet on your phone and you just do it. And then of course and this is where it gets interesting, is cryptocurrency takes away the middleman, the banks, the credit card companies, all of these things we normally go through, which often isn't that bad. Like when I pay with a credit card in a store, it's very convenient. So like I can't complain, but it's decentralized with Bitcoin. So if I'm buying something from someone and he says, "Oh yeah, I take Bitcoin," well, we just open up our phones, type in the wallet address. There's a sending address and a receiving address. It takes a minute or two, and you're done. It's a lot like cash in the sense, but it's like digital cash. Any thoughts?
Also, something, to add to your to what you just mentioned, many of these blockchains currently in the market provide their customers with Visa cards or debit cards, basically Visa cards. That this Visa card is sometimes MasterCard, can be any card, connected to your account in that specific blockchain. So say, Alex is rich. He has got 25 Bitcoins. The equivalent of
25
of that. That's a lot. So the equivalent of that is shown in his phone, in his app, and then wherever he wants to buy anything, he just taps or swipe the card, and then the purchase is done. And it's very common here in New Zealand. You simply, basically what's happened last year, but it never took in place, was that New Zealand was going to pay some of the salary of employees in Bitcoin. It hasn't become effective yet, but the government started talking about it last year, September last year. People are hopeful that they get their salaries in Bitcoin this year. So this is what's going to happen in New Zealand. I think
Wow.
Jim has a question.
Sorry, one.
So Jim is asking the question, the comment, if your Bitcoin gets wiped or stolen, whatever, is there any insurance? That's a good question. Ethos, have you got any ideas about this question?
Yeah. So this is a great question. So as I said earlier, there's many stories of, hey man, I had 1,000 Bitcoin. What happened to it? Oh, I threw it out. It's gone forever. Oh man, I was a millionaire. Now I'm just back to being a loser. So first of all, we need to understand that there's different kinds of wallets, of cryptocurrency wallets. The simplest and least secure wallet is a paper wallet. And this is literally a string of numbers that you write down on a piece of paper. It's not really more than that. You have your send address, which is we'll call it a code. There's a code. That's what you do for sending coin, a code for receiving coin, and then your private code. So if you lose that private code, yeah, your stuff is gone. Now, another wallet is a software wallet, and these are super convenient and a little bit more secure, even though it doesn't seem that way. So let me show you this one. This is called Exodus. I have nothing in here yet, but
Very humble, very humble.
So you open up Bitcoin, and then there's over here you can send or receive. Let's see if it'll. Huh? Okay, so here's a good example. You can scan a QR code, or you can type in all those numbers and letters at the bottom. And I actually put this on my website. So if you want to try it out and send me some Bitcoin or Ethereum, you totally can. And on the software wallet and on the other more secure wallets, the private code, which is what protects everything, that's your insurance. So basically, if you lose that, you're done. But with the more secure wallets, there's multiple tiers of security on top of that private code. So you have this private code, which is, I don't know, like 36 letters or something. And that is secured by what's it called? A seed phrase. So this is a randomly generated list of words, about 12 words. If you keep those words in a safe place and you lose your wallet, you lose your phone if it's a software wallet, or you lose that paper if it's a paper wallet, or if you have a hardware wallet, which is like a USB stick, even if you lose that, it's no problem. You can use the seed phrase and recover everything. But so basically, to answer Jim's question, what happens if you lose the seed phrase or the private key? Yeah, you're done. there's no way to recover it. Now, this could change in the future, because going back to what Fahim was asking me earlier about how what different countries, how they're responding to it, it's very possible that there will be let's say, New Zealand coin, a New Zealand cryptocurrency, and they organize it in such a way that the government will provide insurance for that cryptocurrency. That's totally possible. But the way things are now for Bitcoin and Ethereum, at least, you have to really take care.
Yeah, that's very important. I get emails every now and then, or sometimes these scam profiles on Facebook mention me, not only me, but also other people on Facebook, that like they mention my name and say, you have won this amount of Bitcoin, click on this link, get into your account, log into your account, and you win. You're winning half a Bitcoin. So it's very important to be careful of the messages that you get, not to put your username and passwords of the websites that you have of your profiles, and to keep your information very, very confidential. If you allow me, I've got one more point to add about Hubstead cultural dimensions. And I'm going to share my screen with you one more time, because this is going to be very important. So one of, you can't see, can you see my screen? No.
Oh, let me add it in, sorry.
Oh, okay, cool. So one of the other dimensions that Hubstead actually talks about is long-term orientation. So how every society.
Fahim, this is why Japan is pioneering the crypto thing, and why Japan does robotics and all this AI high tech stuff. I bet if you put in Japan, they're going to have a really high score here.
Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. So we're gonna remove all and then put Japan here. Okay, look at that. Look at that. Long-term orientation is 88. Okay. Are you there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. So,
wow.
So every society describes how every society has to maintain some links with its own past while dealing with the challenges of the present and future. So here at 88, Japan scores as one of the most long-term oriented societies. Japanese see their life as a very short moment in the long history of mankind. From this perspective, some kind of fatalism is not strange to the Japanese. So how is this related to the stock market? How is this related to cryptocurrency market? So here, for example, it says I lost it. In Japan, you see long-term orientation in a constantly high rate of investment in R&D, even in economically difficult times. So given this definition, do you think people in Japan welcome cryptocurrency or not?
I think it fits in perfectly with what I know about Japan and what this Hofstede website is showing, which is excellent, by the way. So for many Japanese, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a kind of R&D. It's a kind of investment that they're making into a new future, which is inevitable. They're probably smart enough to see that it's inevitable, much like robotics, as I've said before, and AI and all the other things that they're doing. They're seeing that the world, because their time span is much longer, so they don't have to like stress their mind to see where the future is. They're already there, kind of. So it's much easier for them to act in the world in a way that's just saying, okay, let's just go for it. You know, as long as we don't destroy our traditions, they're willing to, you know, play with a lot of this stuff.
And this can be true about other cultures as well. But what is really interesting is that this topic that we're actually talking about is a very good research idea for those, you know, studying in cross-cultural communication, looking at how different cultures can respond to the events in the future. So how big cryptocurrency is going to be in the future? Is it going to last forever? How long is it going to last? So presenting these questions to different cultures and see how they respond, and comparing those responses with what Hubstead, for example, presents regarding those cultures. So this can be very interesting. And I think I will be very keen to carry out this research in the very near future.
Yeah, we could do that research in real time in a future stream. You know, this is still new for us. This is our first live stream together. Our other conversations have been recorded and edited, not really edited, but you know, published later on and stuff. Um, and I know I'm having fun, and I'd like to do this again later. But we have enough info to start doing this now. For example, you could make a simple graph of which countries have already made quantifiable investments or proactive steps towards cryptocurrencies, and which cultures have made um, preventative or inhibiting steps to thwart the cryptocurrency boom. And one example that comes to mind is the UK. This is very recent. I think the HSBC, which is a big bank there, they said they will not allow any withdrawals, any profit you make on a cryptocurrency exchange, you cannot bring into their bank. So they're trying to shut it down. And I'll share with you my theory on this very simply. It's a very broad cultural theory which I apply to many different things. And so you have the first world, the second world, and the third world countries, right? Big, medium, and small. So the big players, like UK is a small country, but it's a very big player. It's a big market. It's a big cultural influence. It's a powerful first world nation, as is America, as is Saudi Arabia within that region. That's like the big one. And China is a big one. So, and what China is doing is actually the same thing that the UK is doing. They're trying to dominate this crypto thing because they are the dominators. So they're not gonna just stand by and get owned while other countries, you know, can win or do some cool things with this. They want to be in charge. So the way that the UK and America and other Anglo-Saxon nations often respond is they try to hide the populace from it. And they say, "No, don't worry, guys. We got you this far. You're the wealthiest, high status nation in the world. Just stay with us. Stay with our banks." And you know, we're going to push all this fake news to you, right? Cryptocurrency is dangerous. Look at all these stories of the people who lost their whatever else. This is how they often handle this. What China does is they say, "Oh, we make our own cryptocurrency. We make China coin number one." And then so that's what the big cultures do. The medium cultures is much more interesting. So the second world nations / third world nations like Ukraine, as I said before, and I can't think of any other good examples, but I know I've heard that there are many countries that have already invested a ton in Bitcoin. They're already reserving. They're buying it. They're reserving it. They're saying we want to use this more, and those countries will I think succeed in the future because they're well positioned to be aggressive in the right way, and unfortunately, a lot of the third world countries are just, you know, they get the scraps from the bigger guys. So sometimes they're lucky and they team up with a good second world country, and other times they're right next to one of these bully first world countries that just, you know, sucks them in and exploits them.
Well, not all third world countries. I'll give you a very good example. I'll give you a very good example. We'll actually prepare the links already here, and I'll show you. I need to share my screen with you again. Okay, because this is very interesting.
This is just a quick comment from Jim, all first world nations are risk averse. That's a very good summary, I think, of what I just said, which is like once you're in that winning position, you get very what's the word? Yeah, risk averse. I mean, I can't summarize it better than that. So thanks, Jim.
So, well, we see Iran probably as one of the third world countries, but let's have a look at long-term orientation here. That's 14 compared to Japan, which was 88, right?
Oh my
So,
God. The masculinity is really, I would have thought Iran would be a highly masculine culture, but I was wrong there.
so let's see what
Fahim, you're a native Iranian. Do you agree with that score of 43 for masculinity?
well, I do, because women have great power these days in Iran. I do.
Wow.
Definitely do. And I think even 43, that's 43, isn't it? 43 is a big number for it. So, however, look at long-term orientation. Well, we need to investigate and see how Japan is investing in Bitcoin. But even with the number of 14 about Iran, let's have a look at this one. Iranian authorities closed 1,620 illegal cryptocurrency mining farms. And this is just probably like last week. When is it? It's January 7th. 10 days ago. And look at this one from the Washington Post. This is not a lie. This is true. Massive blackouts have hit Iran. The government is blaming Bitcoin mining. So in this, I think Iran is one of the first world countries. It's not a third world country here.
Yeah. You mean it's acting more like one of the first world countries?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, I agree completely. Do you think maybe in the case of Iran, there's a lot of this comes from the religion, from the strictness we find in Islam, and a high risk aversion that you might find across many Islamic nations?
So the reason why cryptocurrency has become very popular in Iran is simply because the economic problems. And the question, where do these economic problems have come from? The answer is clear. They're coming from the sanctions on the country. So people are actually economically under pressure a lot. So they turn into, establishing these mining farms, which provide them with some amount of good money, but most of them are actually illegal. And that's the main reason. I don't think if it's coming from religion, but it comes from economy. So the economic reasons or the financial problems that the country is facing at the moment, all of these lead to turning into cryptocurrency, where in some countries like Afghanistan or Iraq, we might not see this tendency or preference of people of those two cultures. However, in Iran is completely opposite, and that's because of the economic problems.
Right. So Fahim, I do agree that the economic problems are what's incentivizing and attracting people to do the mining. My point about the religion is that the government cracking down on it, that I think could be from at least influenced a little bit by a strict religiosity, which for example, you do not find in Scandinavia.
Okay. So government is actually involved in cryptocurrency in mining farms too, and government is officially working with China. It's very transparent, establishing or creating these mining farms with other countries such as China. So I'm not sure, like religiously speaking, whether it is something legal or illegal, but with regards to how government is behaving or treating cryptocurrency, I think that sounds okay. And the proof of that is the cooperation between Iran and China that they have together at the moment in different parts of Iran. There are some mining farms in Iran in partnership between Iran and China.
So, Fahim, I'm thinking, why don't we zoom out for a little bit and talk about like what cryptocurrency is in general and how it affects culture in general. So, I think it's well, first of all, it's a very new thing. It's a disruptive technology, which is perhaps a threat to mainstream status quo banking, finance, and so on. So, a simple theory I might have would be that, as Jim said, a nation which is risk averse for whatever reason, because they're first world or some other reason, a risk averse nation will be less likely to jump on this cryptocurrency thing. That is, until it's too late, and when it becomes a global thing, and then they've missed out a lot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so you think that first world countries will not jump into the cryptocurrency in the very first steps. However, other countries might. Is that right?
Yeah, so the example of Ukraine I mentioned earlier, and there are many other smaller countries that they're hungry. That's the thing, is they know they're powerful enough where they can really seek more power, as opposed to like a very poor third world country in Africa that's relying mostly on foreign aid. They may not be looking for this sort of thing because they're in a different state of consciousness. But like like Lithuania, Ukraine, one of these Eastern European, Baltic kind of nations, they're comfortable enough where they have time to pursue something like this, and then they're also poor enough where they're hungry and they go, let's do something really good for our people. They have a drive there, which a lot of first world nations don't have. There was something else I was going to say and I forgot it.
That's right. Yeah, but yeah, I agree with what you just mentioned. However, like we talked about how cultures might welcome cryptocurrencies and how cultures might not welcome. It makes it a bit complicated for us, because how is cryptocurrency introduced to a country is a question by itself.
Right. So
it is introduced. Yeah.
Here's a quick anecdote. So for many Americans, for most of the time that Bitcoin has been around, and cryptocurrency in general has been seen as the black market currency. If you want to buy guns, drugs, human trafficking, anything that's like really, really illegal and criminal, that's what cryptocurrency is for. That's what many Americans think that it is, because that's what the news has shown us. And it's not in mainstream consciousness enough. Now that's changed in the past just month or two, because now PayPal is offering a cryptocurrency investment option, and it's just becoming a much bigger thing now. It's starting to come into the public eye. But yeah, if, for example, if you're introduced to it as this sort of dark black market thing, many people might not ever get over that hump. And one of my friends, actually, I think he's in this club where, even though I see him as one of my, intelligent, you could say hipster kind of friends, he's still thinking, oh man, this is too far out there, and I can't get involved in this and whatever else.
And that's because of the image that introduction introduced in their mind.
Yes. Oh, and here's a counterexample. So in China for years now has been 100% digital currency market. It's not cryptocurrency. It's mostly WeChat and Alipay. But in general, when you're living in China, as I was for the past 2 years, and then back in 2015 even, there was still very common to use WeChat Pay. Anyway, you just need your phone. Like you have your bank card, and then the bank card attaches to your WeChat or Alipay, and that's it. You can buy everything and sell anything and send money to friends. It's all right there on an app. So for this culture who's already totally accustomed to digital payments, for them to go from that to cryptocurrency is not a jump at all. It's actually the same thing. It's literally the same process. You get a QR code, you scan the QR code, you type in the amount, and you hit send. It's about the same exact thing. It's just a different app. So like, and the Chinese government is been building. They've been trying desperately to build their own. I don't know what they call it. The digital yuan, maybe something like that. Their own coin, their own cryptocurrency coin, and I think they'll have a lot of success with it. Just like they had a lot of success with not being ruined by COVID-19 like every other country.
So basically, what email did to post office, cryptocurrency is going to do to the bank.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, I think. So I take the side, as with most things, I think the East Asians are on it. They get it. They're firmly grounded in reality in such a way that they can see where things are going and just do it. They just jump on the train. They don't have some sort of cultural baggage that kind of gets in the way. They just like, oh, phone, good. Phone, smart. Phone, fast. Now, phone for everything. Done. Like, that's it. They don't think about it any more than that. At least the Chinese don't. They're very simple and practical in that sense, which you might make fun of, but dude, look at what's happening. It said in 2028, China will overtake the U.S. as the #1 economy in the world. That's an estimate I saw recently. It could happen sooner than that. Like, it's definitely going to happen. There's very little stopping that happening because they have, I don't know, they've got the power and they've got the will and they've got the communism and the atheism, so they don't have, a strong moral code that stops them, which sucks. But
True. You've got a comment from Jim. We can use GoPay or OVO for bills, food, health insurance, taxes, etc.
So I was in Fahim. I don't know if we talked about this, but I got to see Jim. We hung out for just a few days. Was it in Bali? Oh, we must have talked about that because I know we talked about Bali a lot. So there was only a couple times when I did use GoPay for. I had to set up a GoPay to use the Gojek, that ride sharing app. It's like Uber for Indonesia, and a lot of countries have many sophisticated digital payment systems already, but not really America. It's really funny. Like, it's so weird. In America, we have the technology. Like, it's been here for years, but most people, they just like don't know about it, or they don't use it, or they don't want to use it. So for example, this is my phone. I have this really cool little case thing. Anyway, so I got some credit cards in here. So this is my Visa, and it's one of these contactless cards, right? So you just tap it to pay. And because it's on the outside part of my wallet, I don't even need to take it out. I just go bam, and I can pay for everything in most stores. And it's still almost at least once a week I go to a store and I just do this to pay for something, and the guy behind me in the line goes, "Whoa, how'd you do that?" And it's like, dude, we had like 5 years ago you could have done this. Like, and I say, "Hey, let me see your card." And then they go, "Oh, okay." And then sure enough, like every new credit card that comes out in any country has this little symbol, which means you don't need to insert it, you don't need to swipe it, you just tap it. It's very common now. I think it's probably global, universal at this point, at least mostly. For credit cards, I think it is. Maybe not debit cards.
Yeah. Connect your debit card to your Apple Pay or Google Pay, and you don't have to use your card anymore. You simply just like this to the FPOS machine, and then the payment is made. Even though you have forgotten about your card, you can pay with just like Paywave, however, with your phone, not with your card, even easier. So yeah, I think we had a very good discussion today on cryptocurrency and with its connection with different cultures. It would be good if we have the second part of this and talk in detail about how specific cultures might treat cryptocurrency with the numbers we can get from Hubstead cultural dimensions. And I hope that would be very soon.
Yes.
I really enjoyed today's discussion.
Me too, Fahim, and I want to thank you again for sharing that Hofstede resource. That's really excellent. I'm super intrigued by this. I really want to look under their hood, and see how they're getting all these numbers. But even forgetting about that, one cool. This is what I'm thinking as a teacher. Like if I was teaching a class on culture, I would open up this website and I would say, before we look something up, just take a guess. Like, which country do you think will be super quick to adopt a cryptocurrency for X, Y, and Z reasons? And then you make a prediction, and then we can look on the website and see the results on the Hofstede website, and then we can compare that with history, with reality. Do a quick Google search, like, does this country have any crypto investments or whatever? And that's like a really cool exercise where you get to really learn how culture works in a creative way, as opposed to the more common passive way that I think many people learn culture, which doesn't really work, where maybe you hear about some stereotype from some movie or something and you think, oh, well, I guess that's what Brazilian people are like, and then the conversation just kind of stops right there, So that's something we would like to avoid.
Yeah, true. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Very good to talk to you. And Ethos and Nanda, thank you for organizing this. That was wonderful. We will do this again.
Yes, we will. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time. Cheers.